Hello and welcome to Hughes at 10. It is Monday the 24th of January 2022. Oh my God, it goes on. More. And now it's transpired that Boris Johnson, the Louis the 16th of Great Britain right now, and his horrible wife, Carrie Antoinette. Yes, there was cake. But it wasn't a party. It was just his birthday, and it was just a bunch of people having drinks, and they had like food from M&S, right? And they had a cake, but it wasn't a party. It was just someone coming over the cupcake to his desk and going, "There you go, Boris. It's your birthday. You can blow out the cupcake now if you like." And he blew out the candle on the cupcake, and then it went, and he went, "Oh, okay, cool." That was it. According to Nadine Dorries, but I mean, she's not very smart, is she? Old gonads, gonads. No, Nadine. No, nothing, Nadine. Anyways, right. So, moving swiftly on. Hello, welcome. We have number 3 there. Hello, Richard. At the top of the hour there. We've got Phil Spicer saying hi all. We've got Boris Johnson thinks he's Miss Rabbit saying evening. Mark Wotton says good evening. We've also got Asperger's Europe saying hello. We've got Diane Bennett on Facebook saying not started, but title alone is good enough for me. Hi Graham and all. Yes. The big question is, will Tubby Custard last the week? Will that disgusting bin bag filled with fat and sexually transmitted diseases, will it end this week? Will it just stop? Will I have to not suffer seeing that godforsaken cunt's face? Will I not have to see it ever again? Because that would make me happy. That would make me really fucking happy. That would make millions of people across the country really fucking happy. You're not hearing much now about the will of the people, are you? Hey? No one's talking about the will of the people. Because the will of the people is to get that fucking arsehole out of fucking office and preferably thrown in a fucking jail cell, which is then pushed off the side of a fucking ship. That'll sort him out. Have a conversation with the fishers. Probably get bit of rapport going. They just go blub, 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 blub when, they're going about their business. So Boris has had his cake and eaten it. And he's laughing. He's laughing his fat, wobbly arse off at all the stupid wankers who voted for him. He's not laughing at you. He's not laughing at me. We had him. We had him sussed from the start. I was cringing with embarrassment from this guy 20 years ago. I never fell for this shit. I don't fall for this shit, I like to say I'm a good judge of character. And generally, I'm not always, but I generally am a pretty good judge of character. And do you know what? I can see a twat. I know a twat when I see one. And this guy has done nothing in his life but destroy what others have built. That's what he does. In the 1960s, the Tories, the fucking Tories, ripped up 2/3 of the British rail network without any plan of how to replace it. Places like Skem, just outside Liverpool, a new town that did have a train station. So you could live in Skem, right? Get the train to work in Liverpool city centre in the morning. You used to be able to do that. And then they took the train line out, didn't they, in the 60s? Now Skem is one of the most deprived areas of the country. Because if you want to go anywhere, you got to get on a fucking bus. And because we don't have school buses in this country, because we're idiots, the school kids are on the fucking bus. Well, we do have school buses, but not like in America where they have the the yellow buses that come and pick all the kids up from their homes. No. We go and wait at the bus stop. If you've got 2 kids, it's cheaper for them to get a taxi to school than get the bus. That's just madness, isn't it? Anyway, in the 80s, Thatcher got rid of all the fucking mines around here, around Durham. Shut them all down. And there's an argument, yeah, I agree that coal is a filthy fucking fuel. We shouldn't be putting men down in a fucking hole in the ground for 8 hours a day so they see no daylight at all in winter, die of black lung or fucking rickets at the age of 40. Okay, I get that. But when you smash something up, right? Have something in your head, just a little bit, just a little inkling for what you're going to fucking replace it with. But don't burn down your fucking house and then go, oh shit, my house is burned down. Oh, wonder where I'm going to live now. Have somewhere else lined up, at the very least. And now these fucking wreckers, they've been in power now for 12 fucking years. They have wrecked everything that was once good about this country. And they've accentuated the bad stuff. They've said there's no racism. They had a report that said there's no fucking racism. Are they fucking... What? What planet do they live on? I was talking to Kieran, the van man, the other day, and he was saying about these journalists, and he was like, they don't know anything. They don't know anything about what's going on. And I said, yeah, because why would they? None of them are lorry drivers. There's no lorry driver turned journalist that I know of in the country. There's very few doctors turned journalists. There's very few nurses. There's very few school teachers turned journalists. They're all these little fuckers who go to these little cunt farms, private schools. Then they go to the same universities and they all sit amongst themselves and laugh at poor people and set fire to £50 notes in front of people who are living on the streets and smash up restaurants and think it's all a jolly good game. And then they go straight into a job, temping at a local newspaper or, if their daddy's well connected enough, a national newspaper. They don't know shit about the world. They haven't worked any other jobs. They haven't even mixed with people. These people don't know. These people in charge right now, they don't know anyone who is really suffering right now, who's really got it hard. They don't know what it's like to be... I know you don't really have meters that you still put 20p's in, but we used to. They don't know what it's like to live like that. They don't know what it's like to drive down the old Dock Road looking for pallets to burn, to keep warm in winter. Do you know how hard it is to take apart a pallet? They're pretty bloody hefty things. Jesus Christ. It's a lot of effort. Keeps you warm though, I guess, soaring away. They just haven't got a clue. And that's the journalists. Politicians are even worse. They live on a different fucking planet to the rest of us. Where having over 16 separate parties during lockdown, when we weren't allowed to see our friends, we weren't allowed to see our family, we weren't allowed to be with our dying relatives, we weren't allowed to grieve when people died. 30 people at a funeral, that was it. And yet 100 people fucking invited to a party at that cunt's house. And all the usual suspects are all like, oh, but was it really a party? Or can we make an excuse about this? Can we make it? And it's pathetic. It's fucking pathetic. I said this before. It's like a woman. It's like a mother. Sorry, it doesn't sound sexist, but it's like a mother who cannot accept that her son is a serial killer, even though he's absolutely banged to rights. They have CCTV footage of him literally disemboweling people. I say, oh no, not my Nigel. Don't know why all serial killers are called Nigel in my head, but they just seem to be. So the Tories in the 60s, they wrecked the trains. In the 80s, they wrecked the industries of the United Kingdom. They wrecked the unions with no plan of what to replace it with. They wrecked the nationalised industries of the country with no idea of what to replace them with. They just didn't have a fucking clue. They would just smash stuff up. Yeah, smash it. Smash it. Ha 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 ha. And left other people to pick up the pieces. That's exactly what the Tories do. If there was an election, say there was an election this year, right? I mean, come on. How thick will Boris Johnson have to be to go for election right now? If he doesn't have to. Imagine if he said to Labour, hey, I think it's a really good idea to have an election right now while my popularity rating is at -35. How stupid would he have to be? He would have to be eye-wateringly stupid. He would have to be thick as proverbial pig shit. I mean, he would. That would be the density of a neutron star. Fuck that. The density of a supermassive black hole. The densest thing we know of in the universe. It sucks in light. That's how dense it is. That's how dense he would have to be. Or, to put it another way, it'd have to be as thick as Jeremy Corbyn, who is actually 5 points lower than Boris Johnson is now when he agreed to have that fucking election in December 2019, an election that didn't need to fucking happen. And yet some stupid cunts still worship him. They worship him. They worship him. And people worship Boris Johnson as well. Fucking Bojo. Love him. Can't do anything wrong, Bojo. Oh, what's that? He's the most wonderful man who ever lived. He's fucking not. He's a cunt. Don't you forget it. So, yeah. They smashed Britain up good and proper on this run, haven't they? They're taking us out of Europe. They're taking us out of the EU. They've put we're the first country in history to voluntarily impose trade sanctions, really punitive trade sanctions on itself. We have lost the equivalent of 174 times the amount that we would have had if we'd stayed in the EU. 174 times the amount. Now, we're talking in terms of magnitude here. Listen to this. The sun, you know that big fucker in the sky, it's 93 million miles away, right? And yet it's still like this big in the fucking sky. It's fucking massive, yeah? That is the diameter of 104 Earths. So 174 times hit to our economy. It's a bit bigger than that. Foreign direct investment's gone off a cliff. No one's investing in this country. No one wants to spend money here. It's pathetic. And we're seeing this big squeeze now, and they're talking about maybe not bringing in this regressive tax on people, the lowest earners, through national insurance. Maybe we whisper it quietly. Maybe we should tax the rich fuckers. Hey, like, you remember in the 60s? I didn't exist, but like, you know, the 60s was the time, and there was no high end to how much tax you had to pay as a percentage. It just kept going up. So at one point, the Beatles were paying 98% tax. And I honestly don't have a problem with that. If you're earning that much money, you don't need that much money. End of. And yes, no, 50%, that's the highest tax that we could possibly put on anyone. And the very, very rich don't pay any tax at all. You like, so your Reese Moggs and people like that. The absolutely minimal they can get away with, and because of the tax laws around the world being all over the shop, they basically pay what they want, which is very little. The Tories wreck that. They wreck the trains. I mean, fucking hell, the trains are wrecked. The NHS is wrecked. The soul of the nation's wrecked. The nation itself is wrecked. They just smashed it up. Scotland is now putting together Indie Ref 2, quite rightly. I mean, I don't blame them. I don't blame them for 1 second. I actually support Scottish independence now. Why? Well, because we've dragged them out the EU against their will. And that was the shittiest thing that we could possibly do. If you imagine it like we're a nation of brothers, sisters, you know, it's brotherhood, sisterhood. How could you do that to your brother? Oh, drag them out into the fucking cold. Drag them out to the fucking spooky forest in the middle of the night. Come on, it'd be fun. I don't want to go. I'm quite happy in this warm, nice, safe house in which I live. No, let's go to the spooky forest. Yeah, we'll have an adventure. No, you mad cunt, England. I don't want to go on your mad fucking adventure. Oh, we'll set sail on the high seas. It's fucking dangerous, the high seas. Lots of people fucking die, you dickheads. Oh, but we'll become part of the Trans-Pacific Partnership. What? Trans-Pacific? What? In the Pacific Ocean? You do know we're on the other side of the fucking planet to the Pacific Ocean. What are you going to do? Drill a fucking hole through the earth and have a fucking elevator going down the middle of it? What the fuck's the plan there? Are we going to sell stuff? Are we going to sell stuff to people on the other side of the world? So I've got news for you. There's Australia. They're not happy now because of the wine tax that we've got, which has absolutely annihilated any kind of, you know, benefit they got from Brexit. Benefit was about, 26p a bottle, and that's been swamped by the 70 odd p a bottle that's going to go on tax. So even, just Australian wine is not going to be cheaper than European wine. Quelle surprise, because it's having to come from the other side of the fucking world. And I hate to point this out to people who go, oh yeah, but what about New Zealand? New Zealand, we're going to get trade deal with New Zealand. 4.7 million people. Fuck all people. I mean, Australia's only 25 million. 25 million. It's less than half the population of England alone. And it's on the other side of the world. The EU was 500 million people, customers that could get you stuff freely. Anyway, so now Boris Johnson's whoever's got it in for Boris Johnson has been obviously steadily releasing this stuff, to the press, to Pippa Carrera and Paul Brand of ITV. They've been leaking it bit by bit, so that Johnson just keeps going around in a circle like a stupid fucking robot that he is, going, I'll just say I didn't know about the parties. Oh, I did know about the parties. He hits a wall and he turns. Oh, I did know, but I didn't know it was a party. And then he hits another wall because he knows it was a party. It was a fucking birthday party. It was fucking cake, you cunt. Fucking cake. Bit of a giveaway, twat. Yeah. Anyway, and and also something I hadn't mentioned. Islamophobia has now raised its fucking ugly mug in the Tory party. No surprise there, considering the guy in charge said that Muslim women look like letterboxes. And what else did he say about them? Oh, he said that they look like bank robbers, which is nice. This is the man who was the mayor of a city that had many, many Muslim people living in that city. Wow. But yeah, so there you go. Bozo had a big birthday bash with 30 chums while the rest of us were in lockdown. What a twat. Okay, so I'm going to just jump into some comments here because obviously I've been ignoring them for far too long. But first of all, I'd just like to say thank you to Akbar Ali for the $2 super chat. The solution is to tax wealth, not income. You're absolutely right. Yes, you're right. We should tax wealth because the very, very fucking wealthy, what they fucking do, because they're fuckers, is they say, I don't earn any money. And when they take £1 million, £2 million, £7 million loan out from the bank and they live off that. Tax-free, because it's a loan. Yep. So yeah, wealth tax, let's do it. Birthday party for PM. Islamophobia review ignored by ministers. This is the newspapers tomorrow. NATO jets ready to scramble. Haven't even mentioned this yet. So Putin is moving his pawns into position. Ready for his strike on Ukraine. Now, what could he possibly be waiting for? Why is he waiting? Why isn't he just attacking now, where he's got all of these troops massed on the border, 100,000 troops on the border? Why stop there? Why? Have a think. Maybe it's because he knows how fucked Britain is right now, and in the whole sort of global scheme of things, I know Britain isn't the power that it once was. But still, it must be immensely satisfying for him to know that he can send his cunt agents to our fucking country, and they can set up a assassination attempt on our soil, and it can fail, but accidentally kill a British citizen. Who was foreign minister when that fucking thing happened? Oh, yeah, it was Boris Johnson. And everyone ignores this. Everyone focuses on the fact that Jeremy Corbyn at the time said that we should give the Russians the benefit of the doubt. I fucking hate that guy. Oh, my God. What a twat. But Boris Johnson was the foreign minister. He was the Secretary of State for Foreign Affairs. Did he do anything? Did he do anything about it? No. I think Theresa May said we had to pull our get rid of our some Russian diplomats. That was about it. And they had a list, didn't they? They have a list of people they didn't like or something like that. It was very milky toast response. Meanwhile, Boris Johnson, on the day that the woman who died in the Salisbury poisoning, whose name I'm gonna learn this because I want to know what it is. Dawn Sturgis, the woman who died. She died on the 8th of July, and that's the day that Boris Johnson resigned as foreign minister after insulting everyone. Every one of our allies, pretty much every country in the world in alphabetical order. I mean, this is a guy who went to Myanmar and he started reciting a really, really offensive poem by Rudyard Kipling. And it's like, the ambassador had to tell him to shut the fuck up. And this is the problem when you have people in charge who've never lived in the real world. They just don't get it. They're just bumbling fucking idiots. The triumph of the mediocrity. We live in a mediocrity. And you know why I think that is. But I think that Putin is just hanging on for Sue Gray's report. Honestly, I know that sounds like an outlandish thing to say, but I think he's just waiting until the moment that British politics is in such absolute disarray. The EU is not going to get its act together. It could really do with a strong leading voice of NATO in the EU that has very close ties with America, saying, listen, we need to do something about this. But of course, it's not in Germany's interest to do something about it necessarily, because they get all their, well, not all their gas, but they get a hell of a lot of their gas from Putin, or from Russia, I should say. Well, Putin, because he controls it. He can turn it off if he wants. He can charge a lot more for it if he wants to in the middle of winter. So let's not play his game. Let's not play Putin's game. This is my proposal. This is what I would do if I was in charge, and I'm not, sorry. Just don't know the right people. I would say, fuck you, Putin. We're not even going to play this brinkmanship. Just for putting your troops on the fucking border, here's what we're going to do. We're going to kick you off the SWIFT banking system, which means that you're not going to be able to take any money out of cash machines from a foreign account anywhere in Russia. That's what we've done to Iran. We did that to Iran years ago. When I went to Iran, I was a bit shocked to learn that I couldn't actually use the cash machines. I couldn't use the ATMs because they're not part of SWIFT because of international sanctions. Overnight, that would fuck the Russian economy. And of course, they're going to respond by turning off the gas or jacking up the price of the gas. Okay, so instead of spending 7.8 billion on fucking war, how about we spend that money making sure that the gas supplies cost the customers in Germany or France or wherever they're fucking using it exactly the same amount. Absorb the cost. That's it. Just fucking absorb the cost. Meanwhile, start working out how to get gas from Qatar, from other places, or just spending a shitload of money that you would have spent on war. You see, because war's fucking expensive, right? When you have a human being that you keep alive, right, they can make money for your country. A human being who's fucking dead can't. All right? And if you've already spent a fuckload of money training this poor bastard to fight in your army and now they're dead, that's a bit of a shit return on your investment there. I'm sorry to say. Just to say it in totally brutal economic terms. And not to mention the price of armaments and bullets and things like that. You shoot a bullet, you're not going to ask for it back, are you? Well, you might, but you can't use it again. So one shot only, literally. So instead of spending the money on that, spend it on making sure that everyone in Germany and everywhere else is warm over the winter. And throughout the summer, start looking at fucking ways to basically get energy to people's houses without having to ask the bloody Russians for buying gas off Russia. In the long term, that's even better because that gives us in Europe energy security. And we're not beholden to some fucking dictatorship. And people who go, oh, but, we shouldn't interfere. We shouldn't interfere because I don't know. What was the excuses? Because of Iraq and Afghanistan. Because we voted for Trump. We can't talk about anything because we voted for Trump. Yeah, but we also voted him out, right? Yes, we voted for Brexit, but half the country were up in arms about it. And looks like Johnson's going to fucking eat cake by the end of the week. Anyway, so yeah, it's democracy is not perfect. What are you going to do? But what we can do at the moment, it's not like rethink how democracy works in practice, because It is messy. It is shot. I mean, it's a reflection of the human psyche, and we're not perfect. Of course, democracy is not going to be perfect. There are better systems in place, democratic institutions, but depending on the different countries, there's different ways of doing democracy. There's different flavors of democracy. You could have a presidential democracy, a parliamentary democracy, a constitutional monarchy. You have a bicameral system, a unicameral system. There's lots of different ways of doing a democracy. I mean, look at Switzerland. It's kind of a referendum-led democracy. It's weird, but they seem to find that it works. So yeah, just do that to Putin. I know that sounds simplistic, and I know it's like, oh yeah, but Graham, it's more nuanced than that. But we need to do something, and we need to preempt the motherfucker, because Putin has already taken a third of Georgian territory. In 2008, he took South Ossetia. He took Abkhazia from Georgia. And then, in 2014, he took the Crimean Peninsula from Ukraine by saying, oh, there's Russian speakers there. Yeah, there's English speakers in fucking Ireland, mate. What, do we have a right to go and fucking invade Ireland? Because there's English speakers there. Oh, God, wait till we get to Australia and New Zealand. And what about the US and Canada? Well, they're all fucked apart from the Quebecois. And also Putin's little whiny little fucking bleat of like, we're going to be surrounded by NATO. Really, Putin? Really, you pissweak little fucker? You're going to be surrounded, are you? 6% of your... If Ukraine joins NATO, 6% of your borders will be surrounded by NATO members. And NATO isn't supposed to be an attacking force. It is a defensive force. You attack one, you attack them all. Which is why Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia are parts of NATO. Because they worry, quite rightly, about Russian incursions into their territory. They're tiny little fucking countries. Russia's already the biggest country in the world. But Vladimir Putin needs to stay popular within his own country. And the best way to do that is to go around punching the little kids around him like a big fucking school bully, because he's a cunt. He is a dead set cunt, that man. And when he dies, I'm having a fucking party. I'm not wishing death on anyone, I don't think. But I'm just saying, I will read his obituary with glee, as I will with Trump and Boris Johnson and possibly his horrible fucking wife. Jesus Christ. Carrie Antoinette. It's all a case of history repeating, isn't it? There's nothing new. Nothing new under the sun. Every generation believes they invented sex. So, yes, we're going to move through a few of your messages here. Thank you very much for all your messages. Keep the super chats coming in if you can afford it, because this is my only show, apart from 5 Minutes Expressions, on Wednesday, when I can actually take super chats now, because my other two channels, my new channels, Graham Hughes Travels and Graham Hughes Films, are not monetized yet, so I can't actually activate super chats until I get 1,000 subscribers, and that's going to take some time. So yes, please. And also I need some traveling funds for the end of the week, which I'll come to a little later in the show. But at the moment, we're halfway through, so I'm going to just quickly razz through your messages. What have we got here? Lovely surprise. Politics and cauliflower cheese bake. Excellent. Didn't we do the same question last week? Yes, we did. FSM the dog. I hope so, Graham. I could do with good news right now. And Graham is demonetized again. Well, yeah, I don't bother with advertising on these shows because I say cunt too much. I don't give a fucking cunt fuck about it. Cunt. Not you. Cunts. Mark says, and he thinks everyone's distracted by Ukraine right when we need a sensible PM at the helm. Indeed. Motorways, yeah, they were a great replacement for the trains. That worked. It's not even connected to Liverpool now. Scam doesn't make sense. Yeah, Gaz, it's ridiculous why they took the train line away. There was a perfectly good train line. Well, what they did, it's the same thing they're doing down in Dover at the moment, with the turning the cameras off, the turning the CCTV cameras off when there's a queue. There's a queue tonight and you can't see it, because if you go on the CCTV cameras, they're either off or they've been turned to look into a field, because they can operate them with a little joystick from the control bay. And they've been told by the government, or the Highways Agency, well, which the government tell what to do, to not let anyone see the queues. Unfortunately, the queues of these lorries is on fucking Google Maps. You can see it if you go on Google Maps and go on Street View, not Street View. Go on the satellite imagery, and you can see this queue of lorries all along the A1. The A20. My God, we're turning into China. We're turning into North Korea. The government are trying to control the narrative as best they can. And this is because we've got this revolving door between people in politics in this country, and the Tory party, and people running the newspapers and the media and the BBC. It's just because we're going round and round and round. It's fucking awful. Can't remember his name, but the transport minister Tory in the 60s was a road building magnate making his fortune building motorways. Yes, Ernest Marples. Little fucking cunt he was. He was the guy who famously gave his wife all of his shares in his company, Marples Ridgeway Construction, for £1 on the proviso that she sold them back to him for £1 once he wasn't the Minister of Transport anymore and had got rid of all the competition, them being the trains, which is what he did, the cunt. Oh, and by the way, in the 1970s, he owed the Inland Revenue a fuck ton of money, and so he stuffed a couple of suitcases full of used £5 notes and fucked off to Switzerland, where he died. Cunt. Tory cunt. When I've got to say, when Angela Rayner called the Tories scum over the summer, and people demand that she take it back, and I thought, yeah, she should take that back and replace it with the word cunt instead, or cunts, I suppose, because plural. I just didn't think it was strong enough. Moving on. Yeah, something like that. Did all right at the beaching cuts anyway. Yeah, Ernest Marples. Yeah, the Hammersmith flyover, I think, was built by his fucking company. Diane says, what are these women who wish to recreate with Johnson, procreate with Johnson? I thought we subconsciously choose our partners to mate with the best chance of survival. Bizarre. Because he's a psychopath. And yeah, people find psychopaths attractive. He doesn't give a fuck about anyone or anything. And if you think about it, if your children, if your offspring don't give a fuck about anyone but themselves, they're more likely to survive, to breed for future generations than someone who cares about society deeply and actually puts themselves out there into possibly dangerous situations on behalf of other people. That's something Boris Johnson would never do. He wouldn't put himself into a situation on behalf of other people. This is a man who had £900,000, just shy of £1 million, spent on a feasibility study into the possibility of building a bridge from the Earth to the moon. Sorry, not the moon, Ireland, England, Scotland. Sorry, Scotland to Ireland. Got those two things mixed up because it's just as fucking preposterous. Hippopotamus. It's just as hippopotamus. I mean, for God's sake. When he suggested it, in all of the newspapers that are worth a pan of scouse, they said, it can't be built. We spoke to experts. Here's why it can't be built. First of all, it's really stormy water. Secondly, it's really fucking deep water. Thirdly, there's a lot of fucking bombs down there. That'll blow the fuck up. It's too fucking dangerous. Don't be stupid. Yet they spent £900,000 on that. Of taxpayers' money. It's been shown that the Tory party has not only wasted the 37 billion that we know got spent on test and trace. They also have spaffed, aside from that, 20 billion up the wall on a load of fucking crazy fucking schemes that have just made themselves money and their mates money, and you know, these blag PPE schemes. 20 billion of our money. Don't forget, to put this into perspective, this hike on national insurance is going to provide the government with about 12 billion at best a year. Rishi Sunak, the fucking cunt, has just written off £4.3 billion worth of crooked loans. Loans given to companies that didn't fucking exist. People went down to, well, it didn't go down anywhere. They went to company's house, they registered a company, got themselves a bank account, and then they took hundreds of thousands of pounds from the government. From you. John Q, taxpayer. Actually, they took it from the banks because it was run through the fucking banks, right? Guaranteed by the government. And honestly, the process was just so ridiculously easy to con, and people did, to the tune of possibly millions of pounds. Millions of pounds. This is people who became COVID millionaires by setting up lots of black companies, setting up a bank account, getting the loan, and then shutting down the fucking company. Nice. Well done. And the government didn't think that would fucking happen. They hadn't got the foresight to see. It was called a schoolboy error. Yeah, that makes sense. Because all these cunts in Parliament, right? I'm sorry I'm using the C word a lot tonight, but I'm fucking at the end of my tether with these fuckers. They are schoolboys. They're like Jack in that terrible movie Jack with Robin Williams. I think that was Francis Ford Coppola directed that. Did he direct Jack? He did like The Godfather and The Conversation and The Apocalypse Now, and then he did Jack. Very strange. But yeah, basically a child in the body of an adult. Like Tom Hanks in Big. Yeah, always fun to watch the movie Big with kids, because I bet you've forgotten that his mate says fuck. Yeah, everyone forgets about that. You know, his little mate in that, I think he's in Terminator 2 as well as John Connor's mate. Yeah, him. He says fuck in Big. Because you could say those kind of things in the 80s, it was okay. And also they had sex scenes which seem to have died a death in recent years, but that's something else entirely. God, I'm just the king of tangents tonight, aren't I? Anyway, so there's been a lord who's fucking stood down and said, this is ridiculous, next minister. I think he might have been a minister, actually, but not an elected one. Unelected bureaucrat. But yeah, Lord Agnew, he's fucked off. He said, yeah, see you later, alligator. Anyway, so the US has put 8,500 troops on high alert, which is great, because it means that there's going to be fucking blood imminent, I think, which is really shit. It's really, really, really shit and very dangerous. It's a very dangerous route that we're going down at the moment, and it's increasingly looking like Putin is a desperate wanker, idiot, fucktoad who just he needs to keep his bullshit going to stay in power. But you'll think, wouldn't you? You'd fucking think that he's 70 next year or this year. You'll think he'd just go, fuck it, seriously, I'll just retire. With literally billions of rubles. Well, that's only worth £2.50. So that's like billions of dollars, which are actually worth something. And go and live on a beach on a private island somewhere. But he won't do that because he's Russian. And he knows that whoever takes over will have him killed. And that's the problem with autocracies. No one wants to give up because they know they're going to die or be put in jail if they do. Yeah, you can see the argument there for them, which is why the UN blanket giving diplomatic immunity, like in Lethal Weapon 2, to every world leader while they're still leader is such a fucking bad idea. Because it means they're like, shit, I better stay leader, I'll get thrown in jail. Better stay leader, I might get executed for all my war crimes. Oh, wow. Thank you for the massive super chat there. That's number 3 there. Oh, brilliant. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that, Richard. Thank you. And I've got Charlie Nelson there saying, sorry I'm late. That's all right, mate. You don't have to apologise. I do wish it was Boris Johnson saying that, though. And by late, I mean dead. That would be boss. Is that all right? Can I get away with that? Alexis, thank you for the super chat. Thank you for the £2 super chat. Hey, Graham. And we've got little Vulcan. Live long and prosper. So yes, God, I'm going to not go back to the very beginning of the messages because obviously I'll be here all night. We've got Sugar Free saying, over this, see you tomorrow, guys. See ya. I think Sugar Free's gone. Seen some heavy helicopters today. Wonder where they were off flying east. Indeed. Yes, Mark. He wants to abolish because Boris said not natural when it is fucking evil, Boris. Yes, Boris is fucking evil. Plus education, healthcare, etc. Indeed. Close down the pits. We can't be held by ransom held to ransom by the unions. Now held to ransom by the Russians. Well, yeah. We were held to ransom by Brussels, though, for a long time. Remember when they forced us to do things that we didn't want to do? And when you asked a dickhead Brexiteer, hey, dickhead, tell us something that the EU forced us to do that we didn't want to do, They couldn't actually name a single thing. Not a single thing. That's how pathetic their fucking argument was. You would expect they had just a couple of things where they said, well, we wanted to do this and the EU forced us to do that. No, we said we wanted to keep the pint. Yeah, okay. We wanted to keep miles on the signs. Yeah, right. We want to be able to sell stuff in pounds and ounces. Yeah, as long as you still have what it is in metric on it, so it can be sold anywhere in Europe. That's fine with us. We don't want the euro. Okay, you don't need to take the euro. Okay, we don't want to be part of Schengen. Okay, all right. You can be separate from Schengen. All right. That's fine. Oh. Okay, so what else are your demands? I want to limit immigration from East Europe. Oh, okay. I'll tell you what, why don't we agree a cap on it, and you can say, well, we've had 50,000 people from Romania, so we're not going to accept any more this year to work. Not to visit, but to work. Oh, no, we don't want it, actually. But here it is. You can literally do this. No, we don't. How about we can just deport fuckers if they're just not working and trying to scrounge off the system and just clogging up our doctor's surgery with problems that they don't really have because everyone from Eastern Europe's a hypochondriac, obviously. Okay, I'll tell you what, why don't we all have a rule where if someone's living in a country for 6 months, say, and they're not earning their keep and they've got no visible means of income, how about you can deport them back to their European country from which they came? How about that? Oh, yeah, that sounds great. Okay, well, that rule already exists. So just, I don't know, fucking implement it, you twats. Oh, well, that would be a lot of hassle, be a lot of paperwork. Yeah, we're not actually going to implement that. And then we're just going to complain about how many immigrants there are all the time until people vote out of the EU. And basically, we lose 174 times what we would have actually made had we stayed in the EU. 174. Jesus Christ. Jesus. That's what happens when you put people who haven't lived in the real world and don't know the value of money. There was a quote by Oscar Wilde about cynics. A cynic knows the price of everything and the value of nothing. Boris Johnson is a man who knows the price of nothing and the value of nothing. He is, in any other walk of life, he will be an absolute non-entity. He is lazy. He is feckless. He is a fucking liar. He lied to all his ex-wives. He lied to his business partners. He lied to his editors. He lied to the Prime Minister. He lied to the fucking Queen. He lies and lies and lies again. How can you tell if Boris Johnson is lying? Because his fucking lips are moving. He is a compulsive liar. And when he lies, he gets that cunt smirk on his face. And you see that smirk, right? It's called the psychopath's tell or something. It's about liars and psychological liars. No, is it? No, that's not the word. What is it? People who compulsive liars. Yeah, compulsive liars. They smile because they're getting joy out of stringing people along on a lie. They actually smile while they're lying at you, and it's very disconcerting. And you see it with Boris Johnson. He is such a fucking cunt. Sandy Reid, backbench Tories have two choices. Be careful what you choose. Hi, Sandy. Thank you very, very much for the super chat. I don't give a fuck who gets in as long as Boris Johnson gets out. Because all of the options are about as charismatic as a fucking shit in a bag of KFC. Look at Liz Truss. She is fucking useless. She comes across as a ditzy, sexist. I know it's sexist, but I fuck it. Gavin Williamson comes across as fucking Frank Spencer, so I can call him ditzy, can't I? But yeah, fucking Chief Whip. My God. Getting knighted for services to Boris Johnson's fucking arse because he licks it clean. Jesus Christ. Anyway, beside the point, the people running for being Prime Minister, Liz Truss and Rishi Sunak at the top for some fucking reason. Rishi Sunak is not charismatic. He's not charismatic at all. He comes across as the most boring motherfucker. He's like Sam Eagle from the Muppets. Actually, he looks a bit like Sam Eagle from the Muppets. And he just doesn't get the joke. He's got no comic timing. He's got no personality. And therefore, people won't make excuses for him. People make excuses for Boris Johnson, Alexander Boris the Pistol Johnson. They make excuses for him because he makes them laugh. Rishi Sunak won't make them laugh. God, Liz Truss sure as shit won't make them laugh. Fucking hell, talk about dying on stage. Woof. Who else is there? Gove? The Pillsbury Doughboy? Only it's not flour, it's cocaine. Yeah, great. He's going to get loads of votes for people who go, yeah, I just like him as a person. He makes me laugh. Indeed. So, yeah, if I don't care who gets the job after him. I just want him gone. And the reason why the most vocal knobheads standing up for him are people like Nadine Dorries and Michael Fabricant is because they know they're fucked if he's out. Because whoever takes over is going to want some competent people in, and they know that they're incompetent and they shouldn't be in the role that they're in. I mean, Nadine Dorries stated the other day that the BBC licence fee was going to end, and that was the end of it. And then Number 10 had to sort of dial back on what she had tweeted. She got a bit excited, got a bit ahead of herself. NHS vacancies, 300,000. That's from Phil Spicer. My God, Phil, that is insane, isn't it? Never fight with a pig, you get dirty too. Yeah. Something to say about that. I'm worried about Sunak because I heard he was more popular than Keir Starmer. But for all the stuff the Tories have done, for him to distance himself from all this when he was next door to all the parties that were going on, it's going to be very difficult. Although he's already distancing himself from Boris Johnson in that the Chancellery Exchequer has referred to the biggest tax hike in the history of this administration from 2010. The biggest tax hike in 12 years that's going to happen when they jack up the rate of national insurance we all have to pay. Well, not millionaires, but the rest of us have to fucking pay. He's already calling that the Prime Minister's tax. Rishi Sunak is referring to it as the Prime Minister's tax. He's wanted to do with it. And he's the Chancellor of the fucking Exchequer. Yeah, indeed. By flooding the market with excess labour, everyone is forced to work for less. Well, no, that's not necessarily the case. If you have a minimum wage, that is the law. You have to pay people who work in this country at least the minimum wage. If that minimum wage is a living wage, then that's good for everyone. That is good for society, because we don't make money out of rich cunts putting money under their fucking duvet, under the mattress. We make money by people spending money and it going round the economy. And everyone takes a bit and it moves and it moves and it moves. These fuckers taking all this money out of our country and putting it in banks in the Cayman Islands and Switzerland and Bermuda. They're not doing anything for this country. They're just taking capital out of it. They don't spend it. They don't spend it in this country on anything that we fucking make. Bastards. They might buy a house. That's about it. But they'll buy it off a fucking Russian. They'll take the £1 million profit they've made on it right straight back to bloody St. Petersburg. It's quite phenomenal how people can think that the country in 2016 was broke. We were the 5th biggest economy in the world. The 5th biggest economy in the world. And the countries that had bigger economies all had bigger populations. And we were on course to actually overtake Germany, in 2016. Until we voted to build barriers with our closest neighbours for trade, to put up barriers for trade, because no one in Parliament is a fucking no one in this Tory fucking clique who run the country are entrepreneurs. They've never had to scrabble to get money together in their life. Everything's been paid for. Everything's been fucking laid on. Rishi Sunak is the richest politician that has ever existed in modern parliaments in this country. The richest one. He was richer than those fucking Victorian motherfuckers who were slave owners, for fuck's sake. Boris Johnson sits on an absolute fucking fortune, as does Rees-Mogg, who's worth over £100 million, scribbled away in various bank accounts. Yeah, they're the good guys. They're the goodies. We're the baddies because we talk about it and we shouldn't. We talk about it in regional accents. Yeah, you fucking metropolitan elite bastards. But yeah, imagine looking at a country that's the 5th biggest economy in the world and go, oh, this country's broke. Oh, it's failing. Oh, it's all falling apart. It's all falling apart. But we're not the 5th richest economy anymore. We're heading down. We're already the 6th. Probably going to be 7th by the end of this year. And by the end of probably 2025, we might have slid down to number 25. Because that height of the big countries, China, the US, Japan, which is twice our population, and then it goes down to Germany, which is bigger than us. It's about 80 million. We're 65 million. That drop off after that is just immense. It's absolutely immense. It's a bit like saying, oh, you know, we'll be all right. We'll all right. We'll be the 25th biggest cola company in the world. It's like, yeah, that drop off's quite substantial. So the idea that there was this huge problem that needed to be addressed by leaving the EU, I mean, that was the most stupid thing we could possibly have done because we were putting up trade barriers to our closest neighbours. And someone, fuck that shit, I'm not someone, as the only person to have visited every country in the world without flying, still no other cunt's done it. Another cunt's trying to do it, but he ain't done it. So what can I say? It's fucking difficult. Let me tell you. No one knew it was possible until I fucking did it. And I fucking did it. Most of the world is poor. Most of the world's countries are poor. They've got fuck all. And that would be fine if we were China and we were making the things that the people in these poor countries wanted. Like cheap clothes, cheap electronics. We don't make that shit. We don't. We can't. Our economy's not set up that way. We make expensive shit for affluent people. And the vast majority of affluent people in the world are concentrated in Europe. In fact, of the 38 advanced economies in the world, advanced economies, not necessarily the richest countries in the world, but the advanced economies, because obviously India is fucking rich, but then individually, Indians per capita are pretty poor. Because it's 1.3 billion people. But there's only about 38 countries that the IMF regard as advanced economies. And of them, 30 are in Europe. The countries that aren't in Europe, actually, it's 9 that aren't in Europe, because I'm going to include Taiwan. I'm going to annoy all the Chinese government people watching this. I'm not sure they do, but yeah. If I regard Taiwan as a country, it's 9. 9 countries. Canada, the US. Canada's got a population of 40 million. It's fucking tiny. The US, big population, 330 million. You know, good. Great to have a trade deal with them. Then there's Israel, which is fucking tiny. Then there's Singapore, which is so tiny, it's a city-state. Then there's South Korea, Japan, Australia, and New Zealand. That's it. There's not a single advanced economy in Africa. There's not a single advanced economy in Latin America. Not one. And yet we're going to sell them shit. What the fuck are we going to sell them? And this is what the Tories do. They smash stuff up without having a solution to the problem of the fact that they've smashed something up. In the same way that a spoiled little brat will break their toys because they're just saying, oh, Mummy will buy me new toys. Sorry, in Boris Johnson's terms. Oh, Mater will buy me some new toys. Ha, 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 ha. They don't give a fuck. They've never given a fuck because no one's ever told them no. No one's ever given them boundaries. That don't do that. But I try and explain to this fact. I mean, it's an uncomfortable fact, isn't it? That we... it's a comfortable fact that we are living in a very rich part of the world when the rest of the world is relatively poor. I mean, it makes me feel a bit uncomfortable. But the solution to that isn't by impoverishing ourselves. The solution is to spread the wealth a bit. if you see someone on the street and think, oh, I feel bad about this person on the street, the solution there, if you've got the money, is to give that guy a home. Give them a home. Give them somewhere to live. The solution is not to put yourself on the fucking street. The solution to cure someone of a disease isn't to give yourself the fucking disease. But that's what we've done through Brexit. Brilliant. Fucking geniuses. All geniuses. Right. Anyway, so we're gonna just quickly go through tomorrow's front pages, and then I'm gonna tell you the exciting news about the end of the week. Thank you very much for joining us up to this point. The Mirror. Do you want to see it? Should I bring them up on the screen? Here you go. Oh dear, that's no good, is it? Oh, there we go. That's better. That's much more better. Sorry, I know it sounds like I'm just jabbering to myself here, but I'm just trying to get things in place for you because I'm nice like that. I'm not really. A bit of a twat, actually. But, yeah. Sorry. I hate it when I'm just trying to, press FN F12. I don't know why for some reason, tomorrow's papers has decided to justify itself to the left a little bit. And I think what it's going to do now is because I'm moving it across, it'll just have a little fucking whinge about this. I don't know. Anyway, right. So here we go. So quickly run through the papers. PM's number 10 birthday bash in lockdown. That's nice. That's from the Mirror there. I'm going to just reload the screen because the new papers might have just appeared. We've got the... Oh, now it's back in the middle. Sorry. I'll just have to readjust this because it's moved. It has moved the screen to the middle. Oh, I'm sure I can blame Johnson for this somehow. It's all Boris Johnson's fault. Why is it Boris Johnson's fault, Graham? Because he's a cunt. Okay. Oh, do you know what? I'm just going to do that. And then I'm just going to fade it across. Okay. Yeah. That might work. It probably won't work. Oh, it's not going to work. Shit. I hate having to do this myself. Does anyone want to work for free? And they can be my producer. And then they can sort out all my technical bloody glitches. I want to get rid of that. Go away, adverts. Don't need adverts. Right. Quickly. Daily Mirror. PM's number 10 birthday bash in lockdown. A picture of him with a birthday cake. Same picture on the front of the Times. Johnson held lockdown party in number 10. And also crisis talks over Ukraine as US troops put on alert. PM's Mr. Brexit kill-off tax hike. National insurance riders was never necessary. Justified as dramatic intervention by Lord Frost in support of the Mail campaign. This is the unelected bureaucrat dickhead, Lord Frost, privately educated gobshite, who presided over the actual catastrophe that was the Brexit deal that we got with the other countries of the EU, which meant that we weren't allowed to fish our own fish and that we had to put a border up in our own country between Great Britain and Northern Ireland. That was nice. On the right here, we've got Boris warns Putin of painful and bloody invasion. We've got Johnson's problems grow with birthday party leak. We've got the Daily Telegraph, which actually has now PM accused of number 10 lockdown with the same picture of him with the birthday cake. Daily Telegraph, Biden prepares troops to face Putin's threat. And someone giving a bit of a backwards glance there. Tory peer resigns over schoolboy handling of COVID loan fraud. This is about the 4.3 billion that's been written off. Bozo had a big birthday bash with 30 chums while the rest of us in lockdown. Oh, what a surprise. That's from the start with the same picture of him with the cake. A different picture in the Independent over here on the right. Islamophobia review ignored by ministers under birthday party for PM. Johnson faces fresh outrage over birthday party in number 10. And Metro is saying NATO jets ready to scramble. And just so you know, the Financial Times, this is the NASDAQ, which is going off a fucking cliff here. Look at that. Bye-bye, NASDAQ. For whatever reason. I don't understand finance myself, but there you go. And then you've got NATO sends arms to ally for fear of Russian lightning war or blitzkrieg on Kyiv. That's the capital of Ukraine. Pronounced Kyiv, not Kiev. Fact fans, because that's the Ukrainian way of saying it is Kyiv, whereas the Russian way of saying it is Kiev. And we don't like the Russians, so they can go fuck themselves. Okay, so I'm just going to jump back into your wonderful, wonderful messages here before I go. Has anyone else put some money in the pot? Have I missed anyone? Let me know in the chat if I have missed anyone. Number 3, Charlie Nelson, Alexis there, Ali Akbar. Sorry, Ali Akbar. Akbar Ali. Sorry, Akbar. Yes, more for Sue Gray's whitewash. Indeed. Yeah, we just had a troll deleted. Thank you very much, Reagan Elite, for doing that. I couldn't be arsed doing it myself. Because it mean not looking at the camera. Not looking at the camera while I was doing stuff, which is very unprofessional of me. I should never do that. Right, so there will be Prime Minister's questions. PMQs with Graham Hughes. On Wednesday, I will be screaming obscenities at Boris Johnson because he's the worst person who ever existed. I'm really, really, really hoping that he's out by the end of the week, but who knows? He's sent someone who he pays for to find out, who's a civil servant, to find out if there's any criminality by asking police officers if there was any criminal goings on by civil servants, instead of the Met asking police officers who work for the Met if there was any criminality going on amongst us. Oh! Anyway, on Thursday, I am heading down to London for the first time in 2 years. I haven't been to London for 2 years. The last time I went to London was to Stink Bomb, the big Brexit party, the party, not the political party, but the party that they had on Parliament Green at the end of January 2020, when we left the EU officially, and they had a party. And I went to, was that 2020? Was that, I keep thinking, oh yeah, it was 2020, wasn't it? Because that's when Boris Johnson got his deal through after the December 2019. The last 2 years have just gone in a haze, haven't they? Because it's all been locked. COVID crisis started in March 2020, and it's now going to be March 2022, the month after next. Oh my God, time marches on. Anyway, going down to London to meet up with none other than Kieran, the van man, from the very, 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 very first episode of Three Blokes in the Pub. So, me and Kieran are going to drive down to Luxembourg together. We're going to call it Two Blokes in a Van. And hopefully I'm going to get you some live footage of the massive queues down at Dover. It was very interesting last week. I had I had a tweet go viral, which is amazing. I had over 1.5 million impressions. You got this little thing. It tells you how many impressions you've had. So that's how many times it's appeared on someone's feed as they've gone through. 1.5 million impressions. New followers, 2. Not 2 million. 2. Just 2. Anyway, but what it was something that Kieran tipped me off about, which is the fact that they're turning off these CCTV cameras on the M20 and on the A20 to show that there's no lorries, because they don't want to show lorries. And then they turn them back on when the lorries are gone. And so people said over the weekend, oh, but there's no lorries there today on the Saturday. I said, well, yeah, because there's a lorry ban on Sundays in France. I think other European countries do the same thing. So from 10 o'clock on Saturday night to 10 o'clock on Sunday night each week, you're not allowed to drive a HGV anywhere in France, which is great because it means it's good for the environment, and obviously you're less likely to get hit by a HGV on a Sunday, which is good. But anyway, so no lorries really cross over into continental Europe on the Saturday, but they turned all the cameras back on to go, oh look, there's no queues. So we're going to go down, me and Kieran. I'm going to film out the window. I'm going to be doing a bit of a live chat with you, if you'd like to come along to it. Two blokes in a van. And we'll be heading down to Luxembourg, so you can follow the whole journey if you like. I'll be broadcasting as much as I possibly can, as far as my gift gaff allowance will allow. And then we'll be coming back on the Friday. So we're picking stuff up from Luxembourg on the Friday. We're actually doing a run. He's a courier driver. He's going to pick some stuff up from Luxembourg. I'll be going with him, and then we'll be travelling back to London on the Friday. Hopefully, getting back on the Friday. We might not get back till the Saturday because of customs and getting it through everything. So I will be filming everything that I can get away with filming and putting it online for you to watch. So please come along, enjoy it. It'll be on this channel, Graham Hughes Politics. I'll also probably be putting it out on Twitter and maybe on Facebook as well. And I'm taking my phone so I can live stream straight from my phone, but I'll also be taking this camera here, so I'll be able to get lots of nice, lovely 4K footage of all the lobbies in a line. So that's the plan on Thursday, Kevin. It's on Thursday. We'll start the show. It'll be Thursday afternoon, probably around 2-3 o'clock, something like that, and then it will be we'll be heading down to Dover. There might not be a queue, you know. Some days there is, some days there isn't. I've got to say that now, because if there isn't, I'll just be like, okay, well, we can talk about Brexit. But yeah, we're going down there specifically to get some good quality footage of the massive queue of lorries waiting to cross across Dover, and the problems that the people are facing, and hopefully we can get some officials on the video to say what the problems are, because they've got people like the people who are like, you know, working for the ferry companies, checking people's papers. That's not the way it's supposed to work, because we need about 50,000 customs officers, which is something that I said we would need back 5 years ago, 6 years ago. So what are you going to do? You're going to have to check everything coming in and out. We don't have enough customs officers to do that. Only a small fraction of what comes in and out of a country goes to the rest of the world. Most of it goes to Europe. Most of it goes over the borders to Ireland, to be honest with you. But there you go. Anyway, brilliant. Number 3 says, we used to have quiet Sundays until Thatcher came along. Well, yeah. I can blame Thatcher for a lot of things, and we often do. Okay, so I'm going to leave it at that. It's 11:10. Thank you very much for watching. Me have a little bit of a rant about all the shit that's been going down. I hope I remembered everything. Thank you very much, number 3, for that £5 super chat. Thank you very much, Pineapple Boy, for the £4.49 super chat there. It reminds me of the Mike Oldfield song, "You're Never Gonna Get to France." Is that a song by? I was thinking more like "Road to Hell" by Chris Rea. The M20. But Gove said in February 2020 that you'll have those 50,000 new customs officers by the end of the year. Yeah, Gove lies. Tories lie. And you had Lord Moylan, or whatever his fucking name is, that mad fucking twat on Twitter, saying that Boris Johnson only lies just as much as the rest of us. Boris Johnson only lies just as much as the rest of us fucking Tories. That's what he meant to say. He messed that off the end of his tweet, obviously. Because if I lied as much as Boris Johnson, then I would have no friends and possibly no family that were talking to me. I would have no work. I just would be living on a park bench, I think. But because he's posh and very, very rich, he can get away with it. Of course. So thank you very much for joining me. And as always, thanks for the super chats. Thanks to all my patrons. If you will consider becoming a patron, I'll love you forever. It's only £3 a month, but it keeps me going brilliantly. And also, I've had some problems with the Discord server, so I'm going to offline it this week, but I'm doing a new one. So don't worry, we will be having discussions and stuff on the new server, but it is going to have to be YouTube members and patrons only, okay? So I'm not going to be able to just give out the link like I used to do, because people get on board and start doing horrible things on there. And I set it up because I wanted people to also have a fucking good time. Do you know what I mean? It was just supposed to be a laugh. It wasn't supposed to be something that people would be, cause problems over. But so sorry about that. Sorry. Otherwise, we'll go to after hours now. We can have a chat. But instead of that, I'm going to go to bed. Thank you very much. Anyway, so we're going to get going. Long distance Clara, indeed, from Pigeon Street. I understood that reference. So until next time, which will be Wednesday, if you're at work or whatever, maybe you can listen in for a very, very, very sweary Prime Minister's questions. And I will be there, swearing at the top of my voice. Please come along. Until then, if I don't see you, hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.